All right, we're back. Stream number 2 on the Chairbnb series. Got a few people watching, so I'm just going to jump right into it because this will be archived on YouTube and you can watch it anytime. All right, so where we left off last time, I'll do a quick recap. We built Chairbnb. It is Airbnb for chairs. And we built, excuse me, built an index page. We built, let me go a little side here. We built a detail page where you can see some details on each chair that you can rent. And we didn't build a home page. I'm going to do that in this stream. We did an index page. We kind of went through and did some image resizing on the fly. It was pretty good. We got a lot done. A really good skeleton. And since the last stream, I went and I filled out some more sample content, so there's more stuff to work with. Just making sure I've got all the live stream stuff out of the window. Let's log into the control panel, take a quick look there. Trying to figure out why I can't hide the preview window. It's kind of annoying. All right, well, whatever. Here we go. So we've got our collection screen. We've got a cool dozen chairs. There we go. And let's see, they're of different types. We have benches, chairs, stools, swings. I have some more, if we need more categories, I got some hammocks and some other stuff we can throw in there. So yeah, I don't know, a dozen, that's enough to do something with. So let's get started. Let's make an index page or like a home page. And on Airbnb, you have these like different kind of promo call out sections, right? Like here's millions of ways to stay local, dream about your next trip, may pull out some destinations like Miami, Las Vegas. So I was thinking we could do a couple things. We could go through and do like this super host. We have these super chairs, like the super chair. I think there's 3 of them. So we can pull out the super chairs into their own little block. We could pull out maybe one particular type of chair, maybe like benches or something, and set up a little home page. So let's get into it. Right, so Chairbnb, let me pull this up in my code editor. It's already open. All right. So Chairbnb, go to our home page, which is going to be our home template. And I didn't really cover a lot of like tour stuff about Statamic, but most everything you need to worry about when you're building a Statamic site gets stored in 2 main folders. There is the resources, which if you're a Laravel developer, you're used to this, you have this already. You got your views, you can put your pre-compiled like source files for JavaScript, for CSS or Sass or whatever you're using here. And then the content is where all your content stuff is stored. So we have inside the collections directory, we have the chairs directory, and here's all of our entries. And each one is stored in YAML and Markdown, like a Markdown or a YAML front-loaded Markdown file. And here is our homepage template. Now the homepage is, like each template is rendered into a layout file. And again, I think I breezed over that a little bit because I wanted to get into the main like content modeling last video. So the layout file is loaded on every page request by default, and then your template is injected into this template content variable. So since we have kind of the nav is consistent on every page, and all this request stuff is consistent on every page, we just then load individual templates, which lets our code be really small and simple. So the first thing I want to do before we start messing around with the homepage is do a little bit of componentization on the chairs index page. And so we have all this markup, and this markup is only in one place. And what if I want to render this card somewhere else? Well, let's make a component. And a component in Statamic would be like, we use the partial tag. So we're just going to extract that markup. I think I need to increase the font size. And then we'll call it partial. and we'll put it inside the cards direct, or inside the chairs directory, and we'll call it a card. Okay. Then we'll go into our chairs. We'll make a new card.antlers.html. And then this should render. Boom. Still good. All right. So the next thing we want to do is we may want to render this with a couple of different sizes or widths. And so let's make some parameters. So we're going to take all of the classes. We're going to extract those. Like, you really don't want margins, especially on your classes. So we're going to take them all. Or you don't want to use margins on your components. Whether using Vue or however you're building components, you don't want to use margins. You want that to be able to control by the layout that's implementing the component. So we'll just take this out and we'll make a variable called class. And then we'll pass this data back into the partial. And if everything works, yep, still the same. So now we can take this and use this anywhere. And if we want to, we can say maybe it's a half width or a quarter width. We want to jam a whole bunch more in the row. Is the template engine still Blade, says Kyle. Killia. The template engine, so if you're coming from Laravel used to using the Blade engine, you can use Blade. You can still use Blade. We have our own engine. Statamic's been around for 8 years, so it's only been Statamic for Laravel for the last 5. Blade was pretty early, didn't do a lot of stuff we wanted it to in Laravel 5.1, so for Statamic version 2, we didn't use Blade. We support Blade now, you can use it, but we have a lot of really cool features baked into Antlers, and it's fairly similar. It's a lot like Mustache or Liquid or what's another one of those, like Handlebars, where you have a lot of logic built into these tags. And so if you want to use Blade, you totally can, but you need to have a controller where you fetch data and inject stuff. And this kind of does all the fetching and injecting all on its own right here in this tag. So you don't have to use Antlers, but if you do, you basically can build your site a whole lot faster. So take that with what you will. All right, so we've got this component. Let's go to our homepage. Let's rip this stuff out, and let's just lift what we've got from this index page and plop it here on the homepage. So we should see exactly the same stuff, which is cool. Now let's do those the super chairs first. So let's say check out, come on, capital C. Check out these amazing chairs. And then we'll put a little subtitle here. We can go in and make a control panel, like an entry that we can manage this content in, but we'll just do this for now. Super chairs. Super chairs are the very best chairs available. Okay, so we're gonna want to filter this collection by super chairs only. And so we're gonna do that by saying super chair is true. Refresh, and now we have only the super chairs. And let's look at the data and kind of show you how that works. We have a chair in a private alley is a super chair. And there's this variable, super chair is true. And we have access to all this data. So we could say, we could do the same thing for city is Chicago, or butts is 1 or greater than 1 or whatever. So we can do all sorts of conditions in this format. There's a lot of operators like isn't or greater than and all that kind of stuff. So so this is our super chairs. And I think super chairs, they're really special. So let's make this half width, and then we'll limit the number of chairs to 2. And because we've made that dynamic, we now have these nice little cards that we can control in all sorts of flexible ways. So now we can take this whole thing and make another block, and we'll say check out, let's see, we could do benches. Sweet benches available for your butts. whether you're a fan of sitting or lying down, benches got your back, but yeah, back, because they have back, right? There's a pun in there. All right, so this is, we're gonna do, if we look at the data again, we have chair type. So we're gonna do chair type is bench. We'll limit that to 3, and then we'll make that a third of the width, and we should see, boom, sweet benches available for your butts. And this is only gonna be benches. Now we could also sort randomly if we wanted that to be different. So like, I think off the top of my head, it's just sort random. Yep, boom. So it'll be like a different order every time. So that could be cool. These modifiers are like done in order, I believe. So if you randomize it first and then limit it, you may end up with a different set. But I think there's only 3 benches, so it really doesn't matter. Now, if you're doing static site generation, sort by random is only going to be randomized at the time that it's generated, so keep that in mind. But we haven't covered that, so not a big deal. All right, I kind of feel like I've done everything I set out to do already. That was too fast. So let's do like a big featured chair, right? Like one big, super like full width chair, and let's do that. And we're gonna need to be able to pick which chair we want to be a full width featured chair. So let's go to the home page. We'll go to our pages collection. First to our home page, and let's take a look at that entry and see what we're working with. So this is using the homepage template. We don't have a blueprint set here, so let's make a blueprint for the homepage. Right, nothing, it just has a default. So yeah, we'll create a new homepage blueprint. Let's make some phase. That comment is still showing up. Oh, sorry about that. I didn't realize the comment is pinned. Thanks for the heads up. How do I remove that? Did I get it? Thanks, Vince. I would have no idea. Should I pin that one? All right. I think I got it sorted. Let's go back. What are we doing? Yeah, we're going to create a new field for the homepage, and that's going to be an entries field. So we're going to want to be able to pick an entry out, and we'll select that as the featured entry. We'll make it 1. We'll have it be a stack selector. We'll choose the chairs collection, and we'll call this featured chair. All right, so we're going to save that. Go back to our home page, and we need to tell this to use the blueprint home. There we go. Now we can link a chair, any chair, whatever chair we want. And I kind of like the aesthetics of this broken chair in the middle of the street. So let's pick that. All right, now we'll go to our homepage entry again, and we can see that we now have an ID here. This featured chair references the ID, and that ID is, if we search for that ID, we'll see that it is in fact the ID for the broken chair in the middle of the street. You knew that, but just showing how everything is glued together. Nice that I am switched to VS Code. Yeah, I've been using VS Code for, I don't know, a year or two? Probably about a year. Got to talk about the editors, right? I mean, that's part of 101 for live streams. All right, back to the home page, and we're going to make a new block up here, and it's going to be full width. And let's just make sure we're working with the data here. So we're going to take featured chair, open and close it. And this is how you work with related data. And let's just make sure I have the title being pulled through. From Vince, idea. What about allowing a user registration and adding their own chairs? Does that work with? Yeah, we can do that, but not right now. Like, we're still building out the basic side. I don't want to get to like user submitted content and controllers and all that stuff. So maybe in a future stream. Okay, so broken chair in the middle of the street. we are now working with the data from the featured chair. And sorry, I'm just watching the comments here. You, Lokman, you can, there is front-end user registration. You could create forms where people submit content. You totally can do that. You could just have it be in the control panel. Either way, it all depends on what you're trying to do. All right, so the featured chair, and we're going back to broken chair. Let's look at the data. Just kind of getting caught back up to speed here. There is a photo in here somewhere, right? Photo, yep. All right, so if we do image source, we're gonna do a glide on the photo, and we'll set the width to be like a maximum of like maybe 1600, and the height to be maybe 900. And let's see if that works. Bam. Okay. Let's look at the homepage here real quick. They don't have a big featured image like right now. Maybe they do in one of the subcategories. No, that's okay. We're just making this up. It doesn't have to be an exact clone. Okay, so we now have, let's add a little text like featured chair. And I actually like the little super chair style that we established. So let's go to the card and we'll grab this. We'll just maybe blow it up a little bit bigger. Oh, also it can't be full width. That is way too big. Wait, I don't do floats. All right, let's add some padding here. Nope. We're gonna make a header section. Add some padding. Add some bottom margin. That looks weird. Maybe let's actually make this image a background image, and we'll overlay some content over top of that. What about that? That sounds good. All right, so let's just take this featured chair image. We'll wrap it around this entire div, and so inside of it, we'll work with the image. And we can do this in a couple ways. You can use an image tag and use absolute position and crop, fit, content fill stuff, or we can just set it as a background image. So let's just set it as a background image. And then we need to give this a height. It's screen half. Is that like the, that's not it. Min height screen. Okay. Also need to set no repeat. Let's take a quick look at the Tailwind docs. I don't usually work with the stock. I've said this before, but I don't usually work with the stock, like out of the box config. So I don't really know what's available. I can add extra heights. That's not going to do it. Just go to height. I want like a 50%, but that's not included. That's weird. This is the biggest we got. Height 64. That seems like it's going to be too small. Yeah, it's way too small. Just add some more inline styles for now. How about that? All right. We'll do cover, contain. What is it? Nah, it's a separate attribute. Top center. Maybe Center? Yeah, that looks good. You don't think there's a 50 center? Yeah, there is not. We've established that. Okay. That's good. That's good for now. Also, I want to add relative in 1 pixel. We're going to snug that up so we got a sharper edge on that nav. Just a little trick. Okay, now we're going to overlay some text in here. Inside this, we've got, we'll just add flex and flex column in items. And now we should be able to put some stuff in here. Text white. It's not really Statamic. I don't want to do too much of this kind of stuff, but we are building. Where is it? Top right. Okay. Is it item center, items n, justify end, maybe? What is it? We'll figure it all out. Featured share, font bold, text, we'll make it nice and big. All right. What's the flex attribute for like end? Flex direction, flex, no. Oh, is it? Yeah, justify end, right? It's supposed to be justify end. And then align, is it content end? Is that the one I need? No. Items end. One of these is going to do it. That puts it to the right. But I'm in flex call. I'll get it. Items baseline. Items end. I mean, that's what I thought it was. It's not working. We could also try aligning the individual content end here. I want this to be at the bottom. This is ridiculous. You can see what things I use a lot and what things I don't, right? It becomes obvious really quickly when you're live streaming what you actually do on a daily basis. I want content end. Let's take all this stuff out. Content end. Maybe it's because I added height full. I know I only have one item. I just wanted to like, That's fine. Let's just add some padding. And we'll do it up here like this. Yeah. Red. Oh, that's kind of cool. I dig that, actually. Although it covers up a lot of the image. but that's fine. This is kind of a cool style. Let's just go with it. I don't want to get too caught up on the style on this. I can always clean it up between episodes. Just want to show you how this stuff works. All right, so let's get back to the data. The featured chair, we're going to put the H2 here as the title. And we're going to make it a little bit larger. And then we'll add the city, right? And the country. Text, we'll make this a little bit red. The other way. Yeah, pretty good. And then let's say we have down at the bottom, what else would you put in here? Like the basic information about it, price per night. So let's do another flex column in here. This really doesn't even need to be flex if I'm not like aligning it or anything. And let's grab from our card, we'll grab this. And we don't need the color. $1 a night, not bad. Maybe in this case we'll make it larger. And price, we'll do red 200 and then white in here. Or maybe we can put this in a little box. It doesn't matter. This is fine. All right, and then we'll just link the whole thing. We'll make this link to the URL. And we'll find out in a second if group hover stuff is included. Group hover text red 200. Let's find out. Nope, not included by default. So I'm not going to worry about that. Okay. So now we have a home page where we are pulling out some chairs, we're pulling out some super chairs, and we've got a featured entry, and we can control so far the featured chair from this little picker right here. You can unlink it. You could create a new one from right here if you wanted to. You can just like create the whole entry, or you can just link an existing one. So we could switch it over to, for example, like bench by the mountain lake, then come back and refresh, and there you go. You know, maybe not visually the most exciting thing ever, but you can see how that works. So let's think about how we might hook up this stuff dynamically. I didn't plan on this ahead of time, so I didn't even think about how I'd like to do it. So let's just work it out as we go. What we need to control is this. Well, in this particular one, super chair, and this one's down here, chair type. So we don't really have the ability to control the filter name dynamically, but we can pass in variables as values. So this chair type, we can make this one dynamic. So let's go ahead and do that. I think the idea of the super chair is kind of like less customizable, right? This is like a particular state of the content in your site, but this stuff might change. You might want to show benches on one day, you might want to show stools on another day. So let's add some more fields. So let's jump over to the blueprint for this entry and let's add some fields. We're gonna want to control both this little section header and the subtitle and then the filter inside of it. So maybe let's use a grid field and then you can repeat it. Are we gonna do a grid or a replicator? Let's do a replicator. Replicator is interesting. All right, so we're gonna do featured, not featured, we've already called it featured. What do you think? Promoted types. Sure, promoted chair types. And then we're gonna make some sets. In our first set, we'll call this, actually, is the replicator the right choice? Are we gonna have different types of sets? We are really only having one type of set that you're gonna repeat over and over again. So I think grid is actually probably the best way to do this. Sorry, got all excited there for a second. All right, promoted chair types. And then we're gonna have a couple of fields and we'll have a title. That's just gonna be some text. And then we'll have a subtitle, so that's another text field. And then we'll have a filter. And this filter will be, you can only pick one, so let's make it a select box. All right. And we'll call this chair type. And then our chair types, if we look at our blueprint, which is chairs, are bench, chair, couch, hammock, stool, and swing. Bench, chair, couch. This is just one way to do this. It's not like the only way. Okay, we don't want to allow multiples. Clearables, not important. Searchables, that's fine. No additions, no. Yep, that looks good. Chair type, finish. And maximum rows, minimum rows. Yeah, this should be all fine. We'll save. Go back to, what is that, our home page. And now we have our promoted chair types. And let's add that first one. All right, so immediately I'm seeing this is a little bit tight of a UI to be working with, but it'll work for now. Let's recreate this. And this. And then we're gonna choose bench. All right, we'll save that. And we'll refresh to show that it breaks. The text is gone because I've removed it. So we're gonna loop through for each, let's look at our variable names. For each promoted chair types, we wanna open and close a tag pair. And then we have access to title and subtitle. And then we'll pass in the chair type. And we want to tell it that is a variable name, to interpolate it, or to not interpolate it, rather to not parse it. And so we'll put that colon at the beginning. This should work. No, cannot query chair type using value. All right, so this is a bug. Should be able to pass it in and parse it though. Yeah, okay. So I'll come back to that. You should be able to do that. And so now we have Suite benches available for our butts, and it's being pulled in dynamically. So that is pretty cool. Now we could go in, we could add another row and be like, let's take a quick look at our chairs and see which type we have a lot of also. Chairs, benches, swings. Just chairs, right? Let's just do chairs. Chairs are the OG type of chair because it's in the name. And we will choose the chair type. We'll save and refresh. And now we have multiple blocks of these sections. So that's how you would do that. Let's think about how we can make this even more dynamic. Let's go back to our blueprint. I'll do it here in the second tab. The home page, promoted chair types. The UI is a little bit crowded, so we're going to switch that over to a stacked mode, and then I'm going to add another section for integer to show how many we want shown, and we'll call it limit. And then we'll finish, save, we'll come back. Okay, now we have this stacked UI, which needs a little bit of work. These should be white and whatever, so I'll come back to that. Beta, Statamic 3 is in beta, but we have chair type, and now we have a limit. So let's do 3 on the first one, 3 on the second one, and then let's make one more row and call it, what was our other type? Live streaming. Everything just goes right out your head. We have swings. Let's do swings. Sweet swings are made of this. Who am I to disagree? I'll do swings. We'll limit 2. We'll save that. And then let's use that variable dynamically. And we'll call it limit there. And then for the width, we'll put that here. Oh, we're in variable inside variable. I'm not entirely sure if this is going to work, but let's find out. New. Cannot be converted to int. So we're kind of back to that same parsing problem. But it worked. This worked. So we were able to pass in the dynamic limit into both fields, and that is, I mean, that is pretty cool. It's pretty fast, right? We can also rearrange these. So if you wanted, we can move this one up to the top. It's now up here, although that kind of looks redundant, but you get the idea. I'm going to put it back down at the bottom. I like it. Okay, I mean, that was a lot of, I think we kind of accomplished what I set to come out. These don't all have to be 90 minutes long. Any requests? Anybody want to see anything that's not like opening an entire can of worms that really should be its own video? I am willing to hack and fail live. That is okay by me. What do you think? Nothing? All right, well, if nobody has any requests, I'm going to call it right there. I'll commit these changes to GitHub so you can check them out. And if you want to play around with this yourself, you certainly can. Let's see. Commits. Yeah, I did a couple of commits since the last stream, cleaned up a little bit of stuff, launched it on Netlify so you could see it. But otherwise, pretty happy with how this is coming together. I feel like someone's going to request something just as soon as I say goodbye. I'll give you one more minute. By the way, I'm not in love with this, but I don't design in code usually, so you know, just kind of slapping some stuff together. I'll probably redesign it after I finish the stream and make it prettier. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna call it there. 40. Yeah, thanks for the stream. You are welcome, Vince. All right, I'll be back next time, and we'll keep building Chairbnb. Where's the end button?